whakarongo ki te tangi a te korimako. Kōrero flowing out the hooker force. Kaupapa relevant, kaupapa out of bounds, kaupapa exigent, kaupapa paramount. Nā kona whakapiri mai ki te kaupapa tino whakahira hira whakarongo pi kari kari mai. Hare hare mai, o Taringa hare hare mai. We gotta gather up close everybody, gather up close everybody. Kani move that body, kani move that body.
The most essential thing that we're trying to achieve is to make the public aware that the Maori language is not dead and has no real hope of dying. And the Maori language is a very real and living thing. It's the prime language of the marae. Not only that, but half of our towns, well, more than half of our towns in New Zealand are Maori ones, the street names are Maori ones, and so it's a language that's really part of everyday life.
Kai konei ngā waitu o ngā tipu, no tātou tipu takato. Te rea ngā tua tai, te rea ngā tua rua taka, te puru ngā tua rua tua tāmai ki ngau, i kā katoa. I kā katoa. E koton, ko tāmai ki tēnei rā nui, ko ki tea. Ko ki tea ngā hua. Ko ki tea ngā hua. Ko kōtau, i mariki au kōtau rei ma te kitunga ki a mata. Kia hiwera! Kia hiwera! Kia hiwera tēnei pito, kia hiwera tērā pito. Kia puru a koe ki te whakapuru tōnu. E te whare tūne.
Kei te kukune tanga mai hawai ki ko te āhua ia ko maungi whare ki no ka noho ia pani kakawea ki te wai o mōna riki mā o ne hunga mā o ne rere mā te piere mā te matata te pia tangi wharau ka wangi.
E te iwi!
Whakarongo mai, hoki mai.
Pi kari mai.
O Taringa, hare mai. Tēnā koutou e te iwi.
Close everybody.
Anei mātou ko hoki mai, anei koutou ko hoki mai, anei tātou i tā tātou kaupapa. I a Taringa e whakapāho atu nei. Kia ora, kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
And we had a very unique
Opening segment.
Opening segment for Taringa this morning, which sort of sets the scene for some of the kōrero that we'll be having today.
He kaupapa hou.
A kaupapa hou. Hea te kaupapa hou?
Ko tā tātou kaupapa hou he ata whera he ata wete i etahi o ngā konei oro, ko puta mai i ngā tau mai i te whare o Ngā Taonga Sound and Vision. So we have a look at some old archival recordings or listen to some old archival recordings and we have a kōrero about them because we're bringing back some the voices of the past.
Yes,
you know,
and our
the voices
hitori.
of our hitori. And so, we thought it was a good idea to have that as a segment.
Kia ora. E mihi atu ana ki te tīma o Ngā Taonga. E whakai mai nei ki whakamahia e nei rauimi. Anei, e Taringa, hei whakarongo mā te motu, hei whakarongo mā te ao. So it's the big mihi acknowledgement to the team at Ngā Taonga Sound and Vision for allowing us to use these snippets on Taringa. And it was an idea we had. We were listening to, I was listening to some radio broadcasts of Henare Parker, Ruka Broughton, and Tamati Kruger, who used to run a radio show, and they'd all sort of talk proper and
the Queen's English.
And they'd be listening to all sorts of, it was a whai kōrero, it was a show on whai kōrero, Poroporoaki. And they would sort of listen to whai kōrero of great orators o Te Reo Māori. Then they'd listen to the whai kōrero and sort of give their feedback on what they heard. So the idea comes from there. And also just to promote, I wanted to promote Ngā Taonga because it's a really fantastic resource, actually.
That's amazing.
I spend a lot of time in there. Not so much when I was overseas. You may not know, I've been overseas for about 6 weeks.
Well, they don't know because you've still been coming up to them
the
weekly.
Magic, you know, that's my commitment that I done all this recording while I was in Greece and while I was in Italy and while I was in Croatia.
Tika.
So I wanted to promote for us to promote Ngā Taonga, and also there's a bit of a whanaungatanga between us, Taringa, Te Wānanga Aotearoa and Ngā Taonga, in that we send the Taringa recordings to be archived at Ngā Taonga. So, 100 years from now, when I want to go back and listen to what I said, I'm confident that all these recordings will be looked after forevermore and will be able to be accessed for future generations.
Yes, because knowledge isn't knowledge if it's not shared.
Koina hoki. And if you want to find their website, it is, Erica?
ngātaonga.org.nz.
And I'm going to do a further plug. If you're in Wellington, get down to Ngā Taonga. It's a funky place. If you want a bit of a tour, you got to sort of, book an appointment or something like that. But it's a really cool place to visit. They got the reception is like in the cafeteria part of the building. It doesn't look like a reception at all. And it's just really cool and hip. It's a good place. So down on
Wellington is like that, eh?
Yeah, it's down on Taranaki Street. So there you go. Nō reira e te whānau o Ngā Taonga, Sound and Vision. E miha tēnei kia koutou, tēnā koutou.
Tēnā koutou.
Just to go back to that snippet that we heard was...
It's from 1972.
Wow.
Yeah. And
7 years before the thunder rolled and the lightning flashed and Praone Gloin was born.
The heavens parted.
1979.
79.
1 year before the 80s.
Aye.
And anyway, that snippet was from when they put the petition together asking for Te Reo Māori, Te Reo Rangatira, to be taught in schools. And this is when they presented it to Parliament.
Tēnā koe.
Tika.
It was a huge occasion, for want of a better word, or kaupapa at the time, and still is very pertinent today. And the petition, that particular petition, which was put together by the Society for Te Reo Māori, I think the name was at
Society
Victoria.
for Te Reo Māori, kia tika.
Yeah, Hohaiati.
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 Te Hohaiati o Te Reo.
O Te Reo Māori, yeah, along with Tamatoa. So the first voice you heard, that was Rawiri Paratene. He was a massive driver in terms of revitalising Te Reo Māori and having it as a common language, if not the official language of Aotearoa. And so he was part of Ngā Tamatoa, and the 70s, if you go back in the 70s, it's chock-a-block of the activation of Te Ao Māori when our people were going to universities and mobilising themselves into movements such as Ngā Tamatoa, and of course we'll talk of others later on, when they said actually enough is enough. It's time that we recognise these hardships and these historical traumas, and now that we bring them to light, and as a nation we address them.
And so this was post the time when everybody had been moving from their rural communities into the bigger townships, getting mahi and that. But I saw something online, that haka.
Oh, yeah, so that was, I think that was about later on, 70s, but it was the engineers haka.
Auckland University, wasn't
University,
it?
Ngā Tamatoa were there because for many years the graduates of the engineering paper or whatnot would get together, and according to them they would do a haka, somewhat of a haka, but it was more of a mockery of it. And so Ngā Tamatoa had enough of it and thought, well, we're going to confront these people at their celebration, and it was a drunken celebration. So, they were degrading the haka, and from a cultural perspective it wasn't very nice. And there's a famous picture, and I correct me if I'm wrong, if it's Hilda Harawira, tēnā koe whaia, they're confronting them while they're doing it. Yeah,
so this had been going, this was a little bit of a traditional thing that Auckland University had been doing for nearly 50 years, eh?
Yeah,
every year.
Something like that. They'd go and do a grass skirt dance. And
it was stupid.
Yeah.
They had been warned not to do it.
Yes, that's right. The night before and weeks leading up to, we ask you that you refrain. From this. Yeah. And they go, no, we do what we want. This has been tradition. We do this every year. Our graduates do this every year.
So Ngā Tamatoa had enough.
Yep.
Yeah, and Ngā Tamatoa made up of Rawiri Paratene, Tamaiti,
yes.
Sid Jackson.
Yes, koina.
And others, all here and there.
Yes.
I think they were the faces of Ngā Tamatoa, but the movement itself was bigger.
Was much bigger. Yeah. Yeah, and apart from that, people don't know is that because the radical side is the romanticised side, the side that's made public. They're actually creating classrooms and public community programs for Māori and for non-Māori to learn Te Reo Māori. You know, people don't know that that's what they were doing. They were doing these community projects as well.
Yeah.
Even to help people get through work, even career stuff.
Yeah.
You know, if they wanted to go to uni, because some of them had come from there. They went in, a lot of them had learned or relearned their culture via university and thought, hey man, what's happening?
Yeah.
What's happened here? And it was actually from an address of the late Dr. Ranginui Walker that it sort of sparked that idea. You know?
Going back to that petition, a few years ago, I attended a conference at Victoria, and it was during that time, they had the conference during the time of the petition, and I was fortunate to share the space, be in the space of some of the people that headed that petition. So Kathy Jews was there.
Kia ora, kia ora, tika.
Her late husband was a big part of that petition, and others that were there. And then we traced the journey of the petition from Victoria University, and we went down to the tennis club, which was where the Te Reo Society used to meet. So we went down there and they sort of reminisced, and then we walked down the road and we stopped at a couple of the flats and places where they used to stay, and then we traversed the route of the petition that they took. So it was,
because that was the anniversary, was it? Something? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a few years ago. I was lucky to go to that.
So they managed to garner up about 30,000 signatures.
That's right.
Eh?
Yeah.
And so was it initially to just have Māori taught in schools? Was there anything else that came out of it?
Well, I think it sparked really it was the genesis really for Te Reo revitalisation. And, you know, we're here, we've got a wānanga. You know, we've got
taringa.
We've got taringa. We've got kura kaupapa, kohanga reo, whakaata Māori, reo irirangi Māori. Anything to do with Te Reo Māori is a result
of that petition.
Yeah, it sort of forced or started the conversation.
Taurewhiri Te Reo
Māori. Te Reo Māori, kia ora.
Eventually, these are the things that came out of that fight that they had. The time and that drive.
Tika.
Well, something I always say, I listened to Annette Sykes speaking at a conference at Waikato a few years ago, and kia ora Annette, mea kei te whakarongo mai koe, ko koe te tai aku iho pūmanoa. And she was talking about the fighters and the people that have stood up, and we shouldn't be complacent.
Kia ora.
And a lot of things that, particularly I'm talking about Te Reo at this time because talking about the petition, is don't think that we've reached a point where, you know, we should sit comfortable and sit pretty and sit on our laurels. There's still lots of work to do. Don't sit in this false sense of security that everything's hunky-dory, because we still need to do lots of work for the vitality and to revitalise our reo, Te Reo Māori.
Tika tau e hoa, because we have our generation where, and that's us as well, is that we are the lucky recipients of what our tupuna, our kaumate, our kuia did. But yeah, it's actually an encouraging thing it's not so much to, say rest on those laurels, be the recipients of their mahi, but to actually move that forward. It was actually the voice. It was like, me pēnei koutou, kaua noho wheke. In that, I want to encourage everyone to actually remind yourself of the histories. And the reason why we are able to speak Māori, the reason why we were able to take our kids the other weekend to Moana, Disney on Ice, and ka parare pai Te Reo Māori, puta noi taua whare. You know, there's a reason for it, but we can't rest there. We don't rest there.
Kiwaha. I had a kiwaha in mind because I know we're going to be, some of the recordings we're listening to is in relation to whenua. Ana ko te reo, ko te whenua, ko te tikanga, ko nā take āiwi, ko nā kaupapa he kotahi. And this is a neat one, and I just thought of it now. Remembered this one that I got a whakuia, whose name was Kiripuai, rest her soul. She was one of the matriarch of Ngāti Raukaua Te Au ki Te Tonga. And I had the pleasure of meeting her, and she is a great grandaunt to Ngāhuia.
Cool.
Taku wahine, her grandmother. This is her great-grandmother, I should say. Yeah, and I can't remember, we were talking about something in I was at her house in Otaki, and she was quick, this kui, and very, and koi, tino koi, tika. And we were talking about something, and then she asked me, I told her how much this thing was we're discussing a price about something, and she said, oh, he utu whenua tēnā.
Oh.
Yeah.
He utu whenua.
He utu whenua.
He utu whenua.
And I just, oh, pai. Nei, he whenua, he wahine, engaro ai te tangata.
Engaro ai te tangata.
And I think, yeah, ki te Māori, after human life, the thing we value the most is te whenua.
Tika.
For all sorts of reasons. So this kiwaha is saying, oh, that's like the cost of land. That's he utu whenua tērā. Whenua, traditionally, as we know, could be used as something you could use to not barter, but trade.
Tika.
To bring peace. You give whenua. We talk about bringing maunga together as the marriages of tribes.
Yeah.
And yeah, just you can't really, it's priceless.
It's priceless,
you know?
Priceless,
E koina ki au te mera, priceless, or tino expensive tērā.
Tino expensive,
He
yeah.
utu whenua tērā.
Yeah.
He utu whenua.
The old Rumpelstiltskin thing, you give your firstborn, that's the same type of thing. It's a big...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a good kiwaha. And it's one that I have found I haven't been able to use often.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Well, not lightly, eh?
Not lightly, definitely
wouldn't
not.
use it lightly.
Yeah. So,
He
koe
utu
nā
whenua
tātou,
tēnā.
he utu whenua.
Nā reira koro, hakoa toru aku reo pēni, kōrero pēni atu ki a koe, e koro, he tohu. Mō ake ake nei, kia mō hiwai, ngā tamariki e whakarongo nei ngā kōrero. Kia kaua e pēnei, e hoa mā, e a mātu tamariki, a taihua, kia mō hio koutou, ko koutou marae, kei reira te mana e noho ana, kei runga i ngā marae. He marae Pākehā tēnei, he marae tēnei no ngā rai ana, e me inga tiana, he rei whana kei konei, me rātu e homo ngā rara kei konei. E pai ana. Kei konei koe, me mihi atu hoki a hau, ki te minita, ārā ki te pirimia. Ka tahi anō ka tae mai. I ware ia ki te aha. Ko ia rae wai me ngati atu nei, mā ke wai atangi atu, ko ia te mea I ware a ki te moe. Tōna ware atanga I te moe, hara wai ai whakatika kia tere, te whakatika I ngā whenua o te iwi Māori. Ha tira, kei te haere atu, te taonga a te iwi nei, kia ki te iho koutou, e pehea ngā kōrero. Nā, me te apiti hana hoki, tēnā koe Mr. Muldoon. Ka ni te pai, you're a battler and so am I. Tēnei, taonga e mōri atu nei, e hara I te mea, te taonga nei, mō te, mō te pirimia, ki te pirimia nei. Kia koe noki e, Mr. Muldoon, me tō cabinet katoa, a koe me te apitihana katoa, kia koutou katoa tēnei, taonga e mōri atu nei. Kia rongo mātu I tēnei rā, hea te whakautu. Ki te kore mātu e rongo I a koutou whakautu, ka noho mātu I konei, I te marae nei, moe ai, mō te wiki, mō te marama. Kia tūpato, ka ni te kaha tō iwi Māori. Ka tahi anō tō iwi Māori, ka ara. Te ara ngāke e whiturau maero te haerenga mai kia ki te ia koutou. I ngā iwi o te pāremeta. Nā reira, tono atu anau, kia tino kaha te pai o tā koutou hakautu mai te taonga ka mōri atu nei. Nā reira, kia ora mai anō, e hoa mā, me whaka, wātātu kōrero, ka nui tēnei te mihi atu mihi mai, ka nui e nā mihi, kia haere ki runga I ngā take e uana. Au e riri e teiwi, E harai te mea ngā kaua e tahi e kōrero. E ngari ko te taonga e mōri atu nei, ki mua i te pāremete, ngā tātou katoa. Ngā ture e nei e patu nei te iwi Māori. Ka haere atu nei, ka mōri atu nei, ki mua i a koutou, i te aroaro o te ture. Nā reira, ki aroha mai, ki te kore koutou aroha mai, e toko tāku e patu i a koutou, na? Kia ora, tēnā koutou.
Mana wahine.
Mana wahine.
Mana wahine.
Mana wahine.
Te whae o te motu has been referred to.
Dubbed as,
Yep.
ai.
Dame Awhina Cooper.
Dame Te Kahurangi, ai, Awhina Cooper.
That kōrero was from the end of their march. So they marched all the way from Te Hapua, right up north, all the way down to Wellington. And that kōrero was on the arrival to Wellington at the Pōwhiri.
Yep.
Kia ora.
So once again in the 70s, 1975 Māori Land March, another one of the mottos was not one more acre.
Not one more acre.
Koera tāna me te rōpū matakite.
Te rōpū matakite, kia ora.
Yeah, te rōpū matakite.
I'm just thinking about, a bit different, haunei, well, thinking the logistics of organising
Yeah.
these people.
Yeah.
All those years ago. Now we've got social
The internet,
media.
yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's just a Facebook message away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
phones. And, I'm not taking anything away from the whikoi in the later years.
Ai.
But I'm just thinking, man, to have organised that whikoi from Te Hapua all the way to Pōneke to Te Whanganui Atara
Yep.
ki te whare pāremata.
And organised the accommodation. They stayed at about 25 different marae on the way.
Tiga.
They
Yeah.
held wānanga at each one.
We were up in Kaitaia recently, and there was a really neat photograph on the wall of them, te rōpū nei, and they were staying, I don't know which marae it was, but it just captured the moment. So I'm thinking of the logistics to organise all of that.
Yep.
And just the whakaro behind it, and the kaupapa, anei ko te whenua. And it's something that's still very pertinent today. But touching on that was a whai kōrero, really.
Ai.
Yeah.
Chao ka
Yeah.
pai.
Very interesting to hear. I roto i te reo, kātahi, paku reo Pākehā i roto.
Yeah.
Very witty.
Very.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, I can't get the context. I'm not sure if she was speaking metaphorically when she was saying the Prime Minister has been sleepy.
Yeah. That's what I thought. What he's been occupied by something else, or he's been away with something else.
Yeah, from
overcome
my
with-
understanding,
overcome with
he
sleep.
wasn't there when
Yeah.
they arrived.
Yeah, and saying as he, and now what I think she's saying is he needs to wake up. Wake up to what's happening.
Yeah, tiga.
He rawe ki au te whakarongo ki tāna reo.
Yeah.
Ai.
Beautiful, tāna reo Māori, te tangi o tāna reo.
Yeah.
And, I rongo i etahi o ngā kianga,
Ngā kianga.
te taitokera, i
Te
rongo
nōki.
te nōki.
Yeah.
But really, when I was listening to it, it didn't really sound very much different to some of my nannies.
Yeah.
And that's that's the other thing. We talking about te reo, and people are so thing on mita these days.
Yeah.
It's actually a very easy reo to listen to.
Kia ora.
And tino Māori ake nei tēnei kuia, o tātou.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. And her thing was, kia mahara koutou, this 80-year-old woman.
Yeah, she was 80 at that time.
80-year-old woman mobilises most of te iwi Māori
Yes.
from Te Hapua to Wellington. And with, of course, with the help of everyone. But
Yeah.
Te kaupapa, eh?
Yeah.
kaupapa.
Yeah.
Kaupapa, yeah.
So, yeah, it pretty much was following on from the Te Reo petition. This was like the next big thing to kind of galvanise Te Ao Māori together, because
Yep.
everybody, by the looks of it, had been doing their own little thing. This was kind of the first thing that kind of put them all on the same page, and where they might have thought, oh, actually, we all want to fight for the same
Yeah.
thing, which at the time was the whenua.
Yeah. And you want to read her book, there's some cases in her, the way she chose her first husband,
Oh, really?
went to the
Kare nui kia
dance.
pānui tāna puka.
Yeah, kua whānui e tahi
What's the name of her book?
So by
I think it's
Michael
called
King?
Whina.
It's Whina.
I think it's called,
one of those
Oh,
Michael
the one
King
that
bios.
Michael,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Go to the dance, e gonna be my husband. Koina te kaha o tēnei wahine. She would do the same thing at marae,
Yeah.
She did the same thing at marae and at Māori Women's Welfare hui.
Right, was she the first, was it president of the Māori Women's Welfare?
I'm not sure. She was definitely a president. I'm not sure if she was the first one. There's a famous photograph of her and others of her ilk
Ai.
sitting around. I've seen that
E
photograph.
hui, ai, tika.
Yeah. When I think about land and I think the fight for te whenua and our rights as Māori, that's probably the first face I think of.
Yeah.
Is Awhina Cooper, because as a little boy, that's sort of the memory that I have attached her to.
And her tangihanga in 94.
94, yeah.
Yeah, I was standing for, and it was said to be viewed by 1 million people. So
Yes.
at that time, say, 2 big tangihanga, Awhina Cooper, and then you had Dame Te Atairangi Kahu. But the lack of technology at that time.
Yeah,
You know,
and it
there
was
were a lot
still
of people.
that many people
Yeah.
engaged.
But the biggest photo I remember is that same one with her back to the lens and with her mokopuna walking.
And her trademark scarf.
Trademark scarf, And so there's a big kōrero about the pauwhenua that they carried that held the flag of Te Rōpū Matakite. It was carved by her son-in-law, Mokapuru. The tikanga was that it shan't touch the ground wherever it goes. Yeah, and so whoever held it and carry it wasn't allowed to touch the ground.
Oh, wow. I would be that person who would forget.
You would
knowing me.
lean on it or something.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Now, another thing I found interesting about that march was that they started with about 50 people when they were in Te Haipua.
Yep.
And by the time they reached Wellington, they had 5,000.
Yeah.
But there were actually many, many more, because there were people who would come and march for a couple of days and then go back to mahi. Then others would join in. And I was talking to my mum last night, actually, and because she grew up here in Hamilton, and she said that she joined the march too. She was a young girl at the time, and she was brought up here in Hamilton by one of our other whānau members, and they all joined the march for when they got to Glenview, and they carried on to Ōhaupo, might have got to Tawamutu, I'm not too sure.
Cool.
And she just remembers it being as kind of the first time that because, we're from Te Whānau Apanui, and it was kind of like that starting point of our Apanui ki Waikato.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, where they all kind of got together and were like, hello, we're actually all here. Why don't we do something?
Yeah.
Ka pai.
So massive movement, and, koutou Ngā Taringa, if you have any other kōrero based on it, man, put it on our Facebook page. This is only a snippet of our history. This is to encourage you all to go and rangahaua, kimihia ngā kōrero.
Yeah. And what I love that kōrero, how she's going, mehi, 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 mehi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone is doing all these mihis this, mihis that. We all know what we're here for.
Yes, and that's the other thing, to take from that in a lot of whai kōrero, there's too much mihi.
There's too much mihi.
And you need to get to the kaupapa.
Yeah.
Most of their whai kōrero is the mihi, and then their kaupapa's like 2 sentences.
Yeah.
Or kakao no paipa.
That was the consequences of their being shifted out of there and placed up here. Because they were now living in rented homes on rented lands. They were no longer tangata whenua, and I want to make this point quite clear. Te Tau were no longer tangata whenua because they had no whenua. And hence to accept the Malay at that stage would have been a mockery of their Māoritam, the final humiliation to the remaining shreds of their pride. Better to be without a Malay than to have your own kin and people ascribing to you an epithet such as they ascribed to Governor Gore Brown, a man of war without guns. That would have been the situation of Te Tau right here. Better to hide your pain and your grief by holding your tangi in your rented houses or taking the body to your relations in Reweti. Better to hold your weddings and your other functions at other venues to save yourself the embarrassment of being unable to fulfill those obligations demanded by Maori protocol. This was the shame of Te Tau. On a line which the Māori of the people could not be planted, and I'll talk about that later. On a Malay in which the word of power te kupuman could not be established, e kore taia te pauki te whenu. a marae on which the word would be blown away by the winds and would not be established. However, times change and situations change. Under the Ōrākei Act, Te Tau now owns an inalienable estate on which their homes are situated. And the change is this: Te Tau is now once more tangata whenua. And I want this realized. When they were living in housing corporation homes, they were not tangata whenua. But now they are living in homes which cannot be alienated and on lands which cannot be alienated. They are once more tangata whenua. And so to resume their life in its fullness and to take up the threads once more, they now need a marae. A tūranga waiwai for the tangata whenua. Only so can their mana be fully restored and they can regard themselves as the equal of their kin up here where I come from and other tribes, and finally hold their heads up with dignity.
That recording there was of Reverend Māori Marsden speaking before the Waitangi Tribunal on Ōrākei Marae in support of Ngāti Whātua's claim for the return of their land at Bastion Point.
Aye, and just to Māori Marsden, if you remember the taringa we done with Peter Lucas, no roto mai a ngai takoto, and he talked about this kōrero that would teach them in a wānanga type setting, whakapapa and things. This is the kōrero that's speaking.
Oh, cool.
Māori Marsden, who was one of the last graduates, I think, of one of the whare wānanga of Ngāpuhi. So he was a repository of mātauranga Māori, karakia, wānanga, mō tētea, whakapapa, also a reverend, and he was a scholar, an academic.
Scholar, yep.
And e rongo ana I tērā I tana hora I te kupu. And he refers to te tāu, which to my knowledge is a, wow, taku mōhio and mau e whakatika mai e mara. And I think te tāu wanted to be recognised. They are part of Ngāti Whātua, but they're also their own sort of iwi.
Yeah, is what I remember.
I know they've been referred to as a hapu of Ngāti Whātua. And I know there's a Te Tāu, I think there's a Te Tāu Crescent up there.
Te Tāu Crescent, there's a few Māori named street names.
There's a kōrero ana ia mo te Tāu, I roto I tana kōrero. Mau pe kōrero mō takaparawha me ngā huatanga ki reira. Give people some context.
Oh, yes, so it was 1977, the likes of Joe Hawke in Ngāti Whātua decided that it was that they weren't going to let any of their land go anymore. I can't remember if it was a deal. Geez, might have to do a bit more rangahau on it. But it was the whenua up on Bastion Point, Cooper Street is today, where the whare is today, and the point. It was gifted for the sake of military use. And then Auckland City Council and the government of the time decided that they would sell it because it's prime real estate. It's prime real estate. It overlooks the harbour. You can see Rangitoto. It's by some of the most wealthiest parts of land within, if not New Zealand, within Auckland, if not within New Zealand, you have the places like Paratai Drive. And up here you have the state housing. They call it Boot Hill because it was where the people of Ngāti Whātua or the community were pushed up to.
Booted to.
Boot Hill.
I never knew that.
Yeah. And they used to call them the Boot Hill kids. My mum and them, they grew up in GI and down below them, they used to call them, that's the Boot Hill kids.
Well, my wha, the cousins, the hekes, they always refer, the uncle always refers to it as Boot Hill. I never really asked why.
Yeah.
They call it Boot Hill.
And then in my generation, our mates, they were up there, they were called the Boot Hill Clique, they were. Yeah. So they took their name on, and it was he maumaharatanga tēnā I te wā I Panaia rātou e te kāwana. And it was from lower down in Okahu Bay. Okahu Bay is a lovely area. It's the stretch if you've done around the bays, not running around your
O kahumata momoi.
O kahumata momoi, kia tika. This is all prime real estate. And so the government wanted them off the land, and so they pushed them up to Bastion Point. And it was because the Queen was doing her royal tour.
Yeah.
And she was to go by way of Okahu Bay, Mission Bay. And so they said, this is a
Bad look.
this is a bad look, yeah.
want
So
this all down
we're going
here.
to push them up. But what they did to do, the way they got them off there was not very nice. It was it was modern day scorched earth policy. The burning of whare and pushing them off in the middle of the night. And, so that was the beginning prior to the 70s in Bastion Point. And you had Joe Hawke and them say, enough's enough, and they squatted on the land.
Yeah, they stay. So they occupied the land for about 507 days, I think.
And what were the dates that they occupied the whenua?
So in 1886, the Crown used the Public Works Act to take ownership of the land.
Right.
In 1941, the Crown no longer needed it anymore for defence, but it did not return the land to its traditional Māori owners. Instead, they gifted it to the Auckland City Council for a reserve.
Koina.
In 1976, they announced that they were planning to develop Bastion Point by selling it to the highest bidder for high-income housing. Directly following that, Joe Hawke, members of his hapu, and other activists formed the Ōrākei Māori Action Committee and to take direct action to stop the subdivision. And then so 2 days before the construction of the housing was supposed to start, the occupiers constructed a marae. They constructed some housing and they grew crops and they started occupying the land.
Ka pai, yeah.
They just went back onto the whenua that was theirs anyway.
They just moved back in. Yeah. And I was told a story that some of the tin or the materials to build that whare were from an old Fletcher's house. An old Fletcher's factory, and they said, you can use this.
Yeah.
And so they helped them.
Wasn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Hoi no, me waiho e nā kōrero ki reira. Yeah. And at the same time, the non-Māori community were all, they all pitched in.
Yes.
So the misconception of this being a Māori,
Only,
Pākehā
yeah.
thing, it's actually,
Yeah.
people actually knew what was wrong.
Yeah.
So it's actually, I can't
Yeah,
help
they
but
had
call it
heaps of support
capitalism
from the non-Māori community. And also going back to the Māori Land March,
Yeah.
I was surprised in going through the archival recordings of how much support there actually was from the non-Māori community too for the Māori Land March.
Yeah, and so the way it's presented via public mainstream media is that you create a division by saying this is you versus this group, yeah.
Yeah, when really actually, no, there is support out there.
Yeah, so massive milestones in New Zealand, new Aotearoa history, yours and mine. And these things that they shouldn't be ignored or they shouldn't be forgotten because it's the bravery of some of these people to actually go against their own.
Yeah.
He didn't get much support, or he got support, but it was almost a generational thing. It was almost Joe speaking up against his kaumātua and stuff. Like, hey, we don't do it like this, but it's like, nah, enough's
They've got to make
enough.
a change. Yeah.
Yeah. And now Ngāti Whātua are quite influential as a corporate arm within Taumaki, and they are recognised mana whenua, and they've taken leaps and bounds because of what Joe Hawke has done. And they continue to do so, especially with Te Reo. They have a great a real order strategy within them, housing.
Yeah. What about that wharenui that's up there, Ōrākei Marae? Was that always there, or did that come about after the occupation?
Yeah, I think that was one of the fruits of their labour.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember when it was opened. I should know this. My nephew Te Raukura Hawke, who's listening, he can remember.
He can fill us in.
Ma tō nephew koe whakatika.
Te ego.
I think for me too, what I like about this session, I rungi a taringa I te rāne, hoki nei o tātou mahara nā te whakarongo ki ngā kōrero nei, is to remind us that, this fight, this struggle has been ongoing.
Yeah.
It's not something new.
Yeah.
And while there are things that are happening today that the current generations are focused on, is not to forget about some of the fights and the struggles that we've already been through.
Yeah.
And they've made us resilient as a people. Secondly is that while Māori, they've been kaupapa Māori and there've been things that have been driven by Māori. I was just looking at a photo going back to the Te Petition o Te Reo, the petition for Te Reo Māori. And I was just looking at a photo of the petition. And the page I was looking at, there was lots of people that signed that petition, and then the question, the part that says, are you Māori, yes or no? And a lot of them signed no.
Oh.
Wow.
So lots of people that are support of the petition that weren't Māori. And it's the same with it's not a Māori against Pākehā thing.
Tika.
The struggles that have happened are about the life of our reo, of our tikanga, being able to have our whenua and be Māori. It's not about ko te Māori e whawhai ana ki te Pākehā.
Tika.
Yeah.
Koina I pirangi hau ki te kōrero.
Ka pai.
Yeah.
Pai.
Yeah, and it was really profound, the statement he made that of them not being tangata whenua anymore because they had no whenua.
Yeah.
And it's really, when you think about it in that way, it's easy to see where we get all those negative statistics
Kia ora.
of poverty and everything. You can see the intergenerational trauma and how you've pretty much taken away, the whenua.
Te
That's
whenua
a-
te utu.
Yep, whenua, reo, and then we're left with all these people that don't know who they are.
No, tika, yeah.
Or even some of those expressions that we use quite willy-nilly within ourselves. Tangata whenua. Are we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How in touch are we with our whenua?
Ka pai.
Where we're from? What are we doing with our whenua? Do we know our whenua? Do we practice kaitiakitanga when we say, oh, I'm the kaitiaki? Well, what are you doing to practice your kaitiakitanga? I think those are questions that we need to ask each other as te iwi Māori
Ka pai.
as well. And not just bandy around these kupu
Yeah.
Yeah.
and not know or practice what those kupu mean.
Ka pai. Yeah. And it's funny how you said that, and what Uncle Māori says, funny seeing Uncle Māori on here anyway, that we aren't tangata whenua. And I'm taken back to my mother talking about when my grandparents moved from the north to East Auckland, in close proximity to Bastion Point, and how all these whānau got together. All these whānau got together and they come from different places of New Zealand.
Yeah.
And they would have little hui and stuff, and they were trying to find the mana whenua. And they would talk about how they went and worked for the Chinese gardens in Mount Wellington. And they go, oh man, ko manuhiri mātou, ngā Māori o konei, ko manuhiri. Ko manuhiri rātou, ko te haina mana te rangatiro o te whenua. You know, they felt really strange because they had become one, a guest on this land in Mount Wellington, the old Chinese Mount Wellington Gardens, and two, their boss was a person from a foreign land. Even though they were he māma ki a rātou ki te kōrero Māori, the haina manas.
Yeah.
And to this day, my grandmother used to go, buy your veggies from the Chinaman, you know, because they were always good to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're talking about tangata whenua and manuhiri and being manene and stuff. And even te tirahau marae, I know of the tūhoi marae in East Auckland and Pēmio. And to honour that they are not of mana whenua was that if you look at the amo, the popo on the side of the whare, they're not in the ground. And that was their side. That was the sign that they are, you know, he mihi he.
Subtle, I like it.
Very subtle, yeah. So koina. We have a beautiful history.
Yeah.
He nui ngā kōrero.
He nui ngā kōrero.
And as we've said e te iwi, Taringa provides a window,
Aye.
a lot of times a taster,
Yes.
maybe to inspire you. I definitely know it inspires people.
Yeah.
So just another plug for Ngā Taonga,
Ka pai, Ngā
ngātaonga.org,
Get on there. Anybody can look at it.
ngātaonga.org.nz.
Yeah.
And we'll be putting up links to those snippets that we found in the show description notes.
In the show description notes. And if you're still an avid reader, Ka Whawhai Tonu Mātou from Dr. Ranginui Walker, that was the first book my mum gave me as a
Oh, what was she trying to say?
Oh, she was trying to change him, Mum. She's trying to change him, brother. But
Whina Cooper.
Michael King.
Michael King.
Michael
for
King's
Michael
got
King.
a lot of good bios, actually.
And there's a new book out. It's a recent book, maybe in the last
Weeping
decade.
Waters.
Weeping Waters.
Yeah.
Weeping Waters. It's another one about protest or social movements within New Zealand. Yeah, so do some reading, man. Don't take my word for it, because I'm a bit hazy on some of my historical accounts. So fact check everything that was said today.
I've just discovered Ngā Taonga, and oh my gosh, I have learnt so much stuff already.
Yeah, Ngā Taonga, man. I go back and listen to some old mōteatea, because sometimes the stuff's not available.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I go home, I go listen to some mōteatea, some old whai kōrero from some of my own tupuna, like Haimana Snowden, Māori Marsden, Mutu Kapa, heaps of people.
Yeah.
Heaps of people. And on RNZ too. RNZ, they've got the one that Praone was talking about earlier, where Timothy Cruiser, along with others, look at some whai kōrero from the great Pei Te Hurunui Jones, as Poroporowaki to Kingi Koroki, so... But we'll probably look at those later, eh?
Yeah.
Taringa.
Yeah.
Ka pai. So I don't know about you, but a waiata that resounds
resonates.
Resounds in the heart, but resonates to me with regards to protests is
Ngā iwi e.
Ngā iwi e.
Whakarongo tautoko. Tahira te mananu ya kiwa. Ngā iwi e, kia ko tahira te mananu ya kiwa. Kia maura ki te mana motu hake me te aroha. Kia maura ki te mana motu hake me te aroha.
I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, we actually had way more snippets queued up to talk about E Te Whānau.
Yeah,
but,
we're still in the 70s. Erica's still wearing her flares.
I wasn't even a thought in the 70s.
Now, quantum leaping. But,
so, we definitely need to do more of these episodes, and we will be doing more of these episodes. I think they're going to be bi-monthly, aren't they?
Yeah, so bi-monthly, there'll be a Ngā Taonga episode, and then every second month from that will be a Once Upon a Time episode. So we can create some good storylines, some great sound effects, but also we can do some great rangahau on Ngā Taonga, because mei kore ake ngā mahi I riwha I a koutou ka tū tēnei kaupapa. So if it wasn't for them, what they did, what they achieved, we could achieve this kaupapa.
Yeah.
So there's a reason for that.
Yep.
And so you could listen. No reira e te iwi, anei mātou, te wānanga o te roa, e mihi kauana, e mihi marika ana kia koutou, e whakarongo mai nei, e huri mai nei kia mātou, ia wiki, ia marama, ia te aha, anei mātou, mihi ana, me ngā manaakitanga te wahingaro, kei runga I a tātou katoa. Noho ora mai.
Noho ora mai.
Gather up close, everybody, buddy. Taringa, Taringa, Taringa. go. Whakarongo ki te tangi a te korimako. Kōrero flowing out the hooker force. Kaupapa relevant, kaupapa out of bounds, kaupapa exigent, kaupapa paramount. Nā kona whakapiri mai ki te kaupapa tino whakahira hira. Whakarongo pi kari kari mai, hare hare mai. O Taringa hare hare mai. We gotta gather up close everybody. Gather up close everybody. Kani move that body. Kani move that body.
Taringa, he mea tuku nā te wānanga o Aotearoa. To listen to more episodes, search for us on your podcast app and subscribe. Taringa, whakarongo mai.